Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back after recess. This is Councillor Dan Begley, Chair of the Buchan Area Committee. Welcome to the Buchan Area Committee meeting on Tuesday, 25th August 2026. Please note that today's meeting will be recorded. The recording will be published online after the meeting. Can I ask if any councillor has not been able to access today's agenda, please indicate via the hands up function now. Thank you. Item 1, the Sediment. Firstly, can I warmly welcome Councillor Angus Matheson to his first official meeting of the Buchan Area Committee. Well, Councillor Buchan joining us virtually. Members will note that we have Rhoda Stevenson, Principal Solicitor, who is covering as monitoring solicitor for this committee. Rhoda, welcome. Joining Rhoda is Abdullah Sadiq, who is a new trainee solicitor with the council. Welcome, Abdullah, as well. May I take this opportunity to thank you both for your attendance. Can I ask the committee officer to do a roll?
Can I ask if the following councillors are in attendance, please? Councillor Dan Begley.
Present.
Councillor Anne Simpson.
Present.
Councillor Matthew James.
Present.
Councillor Alan Buchan.
Present.
Councillor Peter Chapman.
Here.
Councillor Jeff Crowson.
Present.
Councillor Leanne Cooney.
Here.
Councillor Angus Matheson.
Present.
Councillor Hannah Powell. Councillor Colin Simpson.
Present.
Councillor Stephen Smith.
Here.
I also confirm that the following officers will be in attendance this morning: Amanda Rowe, Buchan Area Manager; Maureen Stevenson, Principal Solicitor; Sally Wood, Senior Planning Officer; Jonathan Sharp, Principal Roads Engineer; Jimmy Douglas, Civil Engineer; Alex Perry, Strategy Transformational Officer; Ryan McGregor, Mental Health and Learning Disability Manager; Angela McLeod, Programme Manager; Jennifer Walker, Location Manager; David McLennan, Planning Service Manager; Catherine Southwell, Planner; Andrew Moyer, Principal Asset Management Officer; Simpson Buglas, Commercial Development Manager. We have Abdullah Sadiq as trainee solicitor, and myself, Teresa Wood, Area Committee Officer. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I remind members, please, to activate your camera where you can, and please use the microphones. Do members have any declarations of interest? Please indicate using the hands up function. For members joining virtually, can I remind you, should you intend leaving the meeting for a particular item, you should indicate that you intend doing so, as a committee officer will be required to remove you from the recording. You should not rejoin until invited back in at the conclusion of the item. Any declarations? Okay, I have a transparency statement in relation to item 11. I have applied the objective test and I have no interest to declare. I query the roof situation of this item, but I have concluded that I will remain and take part. Thank you very much. Item 2A, Public Sector Equality Duty Guidance. Should any member not agree with the guidance, please indicate via the hands up function. Item 2B, resolution. Should any member not agree to take items 9, 10 and 11 as exempt, please indicate via the hands up function. Members, before we start, we have 3 nominations for Pride of Buchan Awards and quite a lot of good news stories, so bear with us, please. So, Councillor Simpson, can I invite you to put forward the first nomination, please?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to nominate Christine Moyer from Mintlow for Pride of Buchan Award. I'm making this nomination on behalf of my fellow Ward 4 councillors and Mintlow District Community Council. Christine has lived in Mintlow for many years. She's a breast cancer and stroke survivor who in the past volunteered with Cancer Research, Macmillan and Clan. During that time, she witnessed cancer support groups at work and thought, I could do that. Needless to say, that is exactly what she did, and Mintlow Cancer Support Group was duly founded in 2007. She has been chairperson of the group ever since, nearly 19 years of dedicated service. The purpose of the group is to enable people who have been affected by cancer to come together to share their experiences and offer support, friendship and advice to everyone affected by it, including family members and friends. Members can be pointed in the right direction for any help that may be required, including financial and benefits advice. Although tears can be shed at meetings, but also a lot of fun and laughter is shared, along with a cuppa and a fine piece. Christine also organises guest speakers, social outings, and members enjoy a Christmas meal and a visit to the Panto. She is always just a phone call away. Sadly, some health issues have caught up with her, and she's decided to retire at the grand age of 87. I doubt she will disappear from community life altogether, as she's a frequent supporter of community fundraising events and is frequently seen at coffee mornings and such like, as well as keeping fit at Whitby. An amazing woman, and I believe a lovely nominee. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Simpson. Members, can we agree this Pride of Buchan nomination, please?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on. I'd like to nominate Terry Moran for a Pride of Buchan award. Terry has been the winner of the Albert Hotel in Peterhead for many, many years, making it a warm, welcoming place for visitors, families, local people, and those working in the area. The hotel has built a strong reputation for hospitality and community spirit, with Terry herself known for going out of her way to make people feel welcome. Over the years, Terry has supported numerous charities, community groups and organisations, giving generously her time, making donations and providing free use of her premises to help others. Her contribution often happens quietly, without seeking recognition. This has made a real difference to many organisations and people. Terry is passionate about Peterhead and the surrounding area, with her years of volunteer commitment to Scottish Week, more recently Light Up Peterhead and the Town Board. Terry brings her experience, knowledge of the town and genuine commitment to helping Peterhead to thrive. Terry represents everything a Pride of Buchan should recognise: generosity, community spirit, hospitality and a lifelong commitment to making Peterhead a better place. Can I ask the committee to support this?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to nominate Natty Porter for a Pride of Buchan award in recognition of his many years of outstanding service to Peterhead Football Club and the wider Buchan community. Natty has dedicated many years to supporting Peterhead Football Club, becoming a well-known and highly respected figure throughout the local area. Through his community role with the club, he has built strong relationships with local organisations, businesses, supporters and community groups, always representing Peterhead Football Club with enthusiasm, warmth and pride. His contribution has extended far beyond the football pitch. Natty has played an important role in connecting the club with the wider community, supporting community initiatives and helping to strengthen the relationship between Peterhead FC and the people of Buchan. He has given his time generously and always willing to go the extra mile. Natty started the free community Christmas lunches and hampers. Natty is a much loved, familiar face on match days at Balmore, where he will continue to volunteer as the club's match day host. His voice, personality and enthusiasm have become an important part of the match day experience for players, staff and supporters alike. Even as he steps back from his formal community and licensing responsibilities within the club, Natty's continued willingness to volunteer and support Peterhead FC and its wider community demonstrates the commitment he has shown over many years. Natty is exactly the type of person a Pride of Buchan award should recognise, someone who has given his time, energy and experience to his community, built lasting relationships, helped bring people together through his passion for the football club and wider community. I believe he is a very deserving candidate for this award and would like to place on record our sincere thanks and appreciation for everything Natty has done. I would ask the committee to support this one as well. Thank you.
Agreed.
Bear with me, a couple of pages to go yet. I should have this to my vice chair. So some good news from throughout the summer period. The Scottish Week Best of Buchan Awards had 9 separate categories, and each category identified a very worthy local individual, group or company. We have the full list of winners, and can I ask that each be sent a letter of congratulations from the committee. Art and Soul Awards, the Best Fitness Awards, Dance Joy Studio from Peterhead won the Dance School Aberdeen and Shire Award and was runner-up for the Dance School UK Award. Well done to another of our local businesses being recognised for their hard work. Barnley has been named Egg Packer of the Year at the National Egg and Poultry Awards 2026. in recognition of the Aberdeenshire business continued dedication to investment in innovation, business growth and long-term partnership with Scottish egg producers. Founded in 1946, firmly is run by the Chapman family based near Sheffield. Business has now grown to producing approximately 350 million eggs annually and packs around 7 million eggs a week, supplying both large suppliers and local retailers. Well done to all those involved with that farm rate. Throughout the summer period, we had so many fantastic local events, all having taken place due to our fantastic community of volunteers. Of these, there was Wild About Aden, which took place on the 9th of July this year. The park was very busy, full of family and friends having a grand time. Thank you to all the information stalls, event organisers and volunteers for putting on a great day. New Deer Show took place on the 18th and 19th of July. It was a fantastic display of agricultural history, trade stands, competition shows and much more. Congratulations to the New Deer Show Committee for organising another amazing show. The 64th Peterhead Scottish Week ran the week of 18th to 26th of July. Congratulations to the committee for once again volunteering their time and organising a fabulous gala for all of Peterhead and the many folk who travelled from far and near to enjoy Peterhead as its best. Teresa paid us a visit as well, and our daughter did the basement. Peterhead Bowling Club celebrated their 125th anniversary at their Ryder Cup event on the 1st of August. Well done to the organisers for a lovely event, with thanks to the scorekeepers, greenkeepers and players for making sure the games went to plan for such a special day. The Peterhead Youth Volunteer Scheme took part in the inaugural Scottish Fire and Rescue Services National Youth Volunteer Scheme Games earlier this month at the Campus Lab Training Centre. The team took part in 5 events against 9 other teams and came away with first place and a second place wins. They were a credit to Peterhead. Men United's opening day on the 8th of August was very successful, and their new hub at Drummers Corner was officially opened by Scottish football legend Colin Hendry. We wish them well in their new premises. Peterhead Academy Netball team won the Aberdeenshire Schools Championship just towards the end of the 25-26 session, going undefeated against all other schools in the process and won all 10 of their games. An amazing achievement. And last, but no means least, our own Councillor Matthew James recently graduated from University of Aberdeen School of Law with distinction in the Accelerated Bachelor of Laws. He is now looking forward to a final year of study for the Diploma in Legal Practice before starting a traineeship. A huge well done, Councillor James, and we wish you well in the year ahead. So we'll have letters sent out to the above. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I stuck my hand up late, Chair.
Apologies.
I want to add in one that you're probably not aware of, with apologies for doing it at last minute. But I became aware this morning that Peterhead Academy young people had the best results the school has ever had in the recent diet of exams. And Mintlaw Academy, similarly, the best for many, many years. So I just wanted us to congratulate the young people for their achievements in their Nat 5s and their hires and whatever advanced exams they do further on. So with your permission, if I could add that in, and maybe a letter to both schools would be appreciated. Thank you.
Of course, thank you, Councillor Simpson, for highlighting that. Okay, thank you very much. So we'll move to business. Item 3, draft minutes of the meeting of the 23rd of June 2026. Should any member not agree with the content of the draft minute, please indicate via the hands up function. Okay, item 4, statement of outstanding business. Can I ask Teresa Wood, Committee Officer, to take us through the statement of outstanding business? Thank you.
So the general statement really don't have much to add, other than just to highlight that Action 526 A and B are both recommended for removal, and Action 926 is recommended for removal. Other than that, no further updates to the general statement, and no further updates to the appendix with the procurements either, although quite a few have got September 26 as their timeline, so there certainly will be updates at the next Area Committee on the 22nd of September. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. I'll take in Amanda, please, then Councillor McWhinney.
Thank you, Chair. Members will see there's an outstanding action to circulate the backdated project tracker, and it suggests it has been done. I will acknowledge that has not yet been issued, and the delay is mine. Over the summer, I took a chance to revisit the tracker to ensure it's clear and provided a good account of this over time for members. And with changes to our senior responsible officers for both projects, I've shared the briefing with them just to confirm everything is in alignment. Project managers have supported the development, and I should get it out to members very shortly. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor McWhinney.
And it just sounds like we're
I did like how your hand went down. Just checking. Yeah. Any further questions, comments? No. Okay, so we will move to item 5. Planning application reference number APP 2026-0145, full planning permission for change of use from agriculture to vehicle repair business class 5, retrospective at Mains of Park 1 May. We have one request to address the committee in relation to the planning application from the applicant and agent, Mr. Ryan Mowat, on behalf of Victoria Group Limited, and Mr. Ryan Uchert for Baxter Design Company. Can I confirm that Mr. Mowat and Mr. Uchert are in attendance? Good morning. Welcome to the Buchan Area Committee meeting. For your information, I can confirm that we have 11 members of the Buchan Area Committee in attendance today. In line with the Council's procedure, I am now going to confirm that the committee wish to hear your representation. I will then ask the Senior Planning Officer, Sally Wood, to present the planning application before asking you to address the committee. When you are invited to speak, you will be given 5 minutes to put forward your representation. After that, members may ask questions. Thank you. Yeah. Committee members, should a member not agree to hear the representation, please indicate via the hands up function. Thanks, Amanda. Sally, good morning. Can I ask you to present the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Morning, everyone. So this application seeks retrospective planning permission for the change of use of an existing agricultural building at Mains of Park Long May to a vehicle repair business, which falls within use class 5. The application is before committee following consultation with the local ward members as detailed in section 1 of the report. The site is located approximately 10 kilometres south of Fraserburgh and around 8 kilometres north of Midlaw, as shown on slide 2 in terms of their sort of general location. And it does form part of an established agricultural group of buildings which are accessed from an unclassified road served off the A952, which lies to the east of the application site, some 360 metres away. As stated, the application is retrospective in nature because the use is already in operation on the site. But notwithstanding that, the application must be assessed on its own merits. Move to slide 3. It is an existing agricultural site in respect of its lawful use, with an agricultural shed located on it. The application relates solely to the use of the building and the site, and no physical alterations are proposed under this current application. And the building is approximately 32 metres by 12 metres in size and formed part of a wider farm complex. Members may wish to note there are no objections that have been maintained by consultees. Roads removed its initial objection following the submission of additional information, and environmental health and contaminated land have no concerns subject to conditions. Members may also like to note that there was a previous planning permission refused on this site for the same use under application reference APP 2025/0393, which was for a change of use to a vehicle repair business class 5, and that was actually refused under local ward consultation, following local ward member consultation as a delegated matter, and it was refused because there was a failure to justify the countryside location and demonstrate compliance with employment land policies, and there was a lack of evidence confirming at that time that the site was safe for the proposed use. That decision was not appealed, and the application was determined September 2025 Notably now, though, you will see that contaminated land, well, environmental health, but contaminated land have no objections with regards to the actual use. In terms of slide 4, that's the proposed layout of the site and the internal building, but principally what we're looking at is the change of use to class 5. The key issues in this case relate to the principle of locating class 5 business in the countryside, as defined as the accessible rural area, and whether alternative sites have been adequately considered, whether the agricultural building is genuinely redundant, and whether the proposal accords with the wider sustainability objectives. So again, just showing slide 5 there, the site in relation to sort of 2 nearest settlements, really, Newleeds and Crimond. And slide 6 does show an aerial view for your attention with regards to the actual extent of the application site itself. A further key issue also relates to redundancy, and whilst policy does support the reuse of redundant rural buildings, it should be appropriate uses, and officers consider that there is insufficient evidence provided in support of the application in this regard to demonstrate the building is no longer required for agricultural purposes or any other appropriate rural uses. The current proposal is located out with any defined settlement and is inherently reliant on the private vehicle access. The applicant notes that proximity to a bus route does offer offers a collection and delivery service. And whilst officers consider that the proposal remains fundamentally car dependent and does not align with the objectives of NPF4 relating to local living in respect of policy 15. I'll just show you a couple of slides of the site itself. So slide 7 is taken from the public road. And as you can see, that's the site and the building subject to this application. Slide 8, just from a slightly different angle, again from the front, but showing a couple of the neighbouring buildings in the distance there as well, which are located to the east. Slide 9 shows that the site lies adjacent to open land on the west side. And whilst slide 10, again, another photo taken from within the site, but looking north, so on the opposite side of the public road, again, this is generally open land as well. Slide 11 is a photo just taken from within the site again, further down, but looking northwards again. While slide 12 shows a photo midway, looking towards the eastern boundary. And finally, slide 13 is a photo from the public road looking eastwards over the neighbouring property. So in summary, whilst there's no significant concerns raised regarding design or access, officers consider that the principle of development has not been fully justified under their application. The application has failed to demonstrate that no suitable alternative employment sites exist. It does identify opportunity sites, but it hasn't looked at any locations within settlements or any sites that may be currently advertised. It fails to demonstrate that the site and the building is redundant for agricultural uses or other compatible rural uses, and as such conflicts with objectives of local living and sustainable accessibility. So the recommendation before members today, as cited in section 10, is therefore one of refusal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sally. Members, any questions, please? Councillor Cruson.
Thanks, yeah, just one. I'm just a bit confused about how you prove that a building's not required for its intended purpose. So I can only think of really the person who diffused it for that purpose, saying that they don't require it anymore. I'm just not sure what would pass as proof.
I'll just come out.
Yeah, I think it's due to the retrospective nature of the application itself that perhaps step hasn't been fully justified within the application itself as to why it's no longer needed for agriculture. Sometimes planning may know just from sort of the size itself whether it's suitable for sort of a more traditional vernacular type building. This one is sort of more modern in terms of its appearance. But really the onus is on the applicant to make that sort of justification, and there's no real sort of statement that suggests how this has sort of been annexed off the agricultural unit and sort of that backstory as to whether it was suitable or not. So in terms of sort of evidence, we would normally expect that sort of backstory in respect to an application, and whether there's been an exploration of what other uses it could be, whether a neighbouring agricultural unit or anything like that could also use it. So it's just that bit that's sort of missing from the application from officer's perspective.
Councillor Powell?
And without looking online, when you say the evidence, do we have that in the pack or is that online? What evidence did you receive? That is not, that it's redundant of agricultural use.
The supporting statement in terms of sort of the sequential statements on there in terms of sort of the use, and it's just not really sort of fully outlined how we've jumped from sort of the agricultural use to the retrospective nature of this application. Understands that this may have been reported to enforcement teams, so it's just that element that's sort of missing in terms of how we've got from agriculture to this particular use.
It's online on the supporting statement.
It doesn't really expand on why this particular building is no longer suitable for its original purpose, and I think that's just as a result of its sort of its retrospective nature. It's already occurred, if you like.
You. So Mr. Mowat and Mr. Baxter, can I invite you to address the committee? You'll have 5 minutes in total. I'll tell you when it's 4 minutes, okay?
Chair, members, thank you for allowing me to speak in support of the application. I've the applicant Ryan Mowat of the Victoria Group here with me today to help and to answer any questions that you may have. And would like to address the reasons for refusal in turn. So first, the alternative sites in policy 26. Officers report that section 6.21 describes the site as being remote from the main core of the applicant's business. But respectfully clarify that this is not Victoria Coaches. Applications for a vehicle body shop, one of several businesses operated by Victoria Group Limited. Wider group includes haulage and plant hire businesses, but the body shop is its own customer base, including AIC Transport, Reed Fab, Clay and Adams, and Ian J. Scott Haulage, among others. Its customers are geographically dispersed, which is why paragraph 2.2 of the officer's report itself describes Mainzer Park as geographically central to the core, to this business's customer base. We've undertaken a detailed 18-page sequential assessment of employment land in Mintloch, Fraserburgh, given that they hold the nearest available allocated business land in the local plan, followed by searches of actual commercial market through ASPC, Aberdeenshire Council pages, and at least 3 more estate agency schedules. The sites identified were occupied, unavailable, sold, too small, lacking infrastructure, or unsuitable for a vehicle repair business. The issue, therefore, isn't whether allocated business land exists, which it does, but the issue is whether there is a suitable and available alternative for this particular business, but demonstrated with detailed evidence why there is not. Second issue is the redundancy and reuse of the building. This follows on directly from the sequential assessment that we undertook. The applicant can identify a building of the required size, configuration, location, which was both suitable and available for the business. At Mainzer Park, there was an existing building that became available to the applicant. Agricultural use had ceased. The surrounding farm buildings are earmarked for demolition, and the agricultural unit had become redundant. The previous owner wanted the building demolished. The relevant question is whether the building still has a reasonably practical agricultural use on the farm unit. No evidence before you, it doesn't. Rather than allowing a redundant building to deteriorate or demolishing it, the applicant is proposing to retain it and to bring it back into productive economic use. That is consistent with the council's own guidance on redundant agricultural buildings and with the objectives of MPF4 policies 9 and 29. Importantly, this is not an isolated location. There's at least 3 established rural businesses within 1 mile, a further 6 established businesses within 1.5 miles, demonstrating an existing pattern of rural economic activity in the area. Third, accessibility in policy 15. The officer's presentation itself demonstrates how close the building is to the A952. It's approximately 350 metres from the main transport corridor with bus connections between Mintloch and Fraserburgh. The A90 is also nearby, providing an important strategic connection and the potential opportunity to expand their customer base. Customers need vehicles to reach a body shop. Simply moving the business on allocated business land does not prevent this, and the vehicles required in repair have to travel to the body shop wherever it's located. Moving the business to Fraserburgh and Mintloch does not remove the journeys and could increase travel distances for their customers. For example, if the operation moved to Mintloch, they potentially lose customers from the north. The question is not therefore whether the business could physically be located elsewhere, but whether another location would actually be more suitable or sustainable for this particular business.
1 minute.
There are 3 full-time employees. The work is undertaken indoors and they remain on site. The vehicles remain on site for extended periods. We're not asking you to disregard the development plan. We're asking you to apply it to the actual circumstances of the business, this building, the rural location. The sequential assessment demonstrates there's no genuinely suitable and available alternatives. The evidence demonstrates the agricultural building is redundant and is being productively reused. The evidence demonstrates that Mainzer Park is well connected, geographically central location, in an established rural business area. Council's technical consultees haven't identified any unacceptable access, environmental or amenity impacts. And the proposal also retains 3 jobs with the potential for more in future. For these reasons, we ask for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So members, any questions for Mr. Mowat or Mr. Baxter? Councillor Chapman, please.
Thank you, Chair. One of the big issues here is whether this is a redundant agricultural building or not. I must say, I'll say straight right from the start, I know this site very well because I farm within a mile of this site and I've seen this site my whole working life. And I know its history pretty well, but that's nothing to do with it. I need to explore what you are saying about this. Can you tell me, is there any agricultural activity goes on within the rest of the site, the other farm buildings on this site? No.
No, there is a previous application approved. You'll know that there's a house being built to the north. Across the field that was approved through brownfield development through the steadings that were there. So there's no agricultural activity in there. They're in disrepair and they're earmarked for demolition. So the only building remaining is this one. So there's no agricultural activity.
Can you explain this a bit more fully, the state of repair of the other buildings on site?
If we could put up some of the photos, it'd be useful to show that there's very few that have roofs anymore. Any remaining roofs gone, cracked walls, fallen disrepair.
No, I mean, I know from my experience, local experience, that the roofs are falling in,
Yeah,
basically, in the rest of the state. So the only building on site that is suitable to do anything with is the building that you are occupying.
correct. Yeah.
And can you explain that the present farmer, does he see a need or a use for that building for his agricultural business or not?
No, because it was that farmer that sold us the building because it was redundant in his. He doesn't need to use that because he's got the park to the, which would be the east, west, and the south. So if he still needed a use for that shed, he would have held on to it for the surrounding parks that he's got. But
Their farm base is elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that the main business is related elsewhere because they actually farm quite an area of land in this vicinity, and I know for a fact that the main site isn't here.
No.
Yeah. Can I just ask you how long have you been operating out of this site?
Close to 5 years.
Yeah. Has there ever been any issues with neighbours, complaints, or any issues that objected to you being there? Thank you.
Just before we go on, Ryan, apologies, you forget Mr. Baxter. I blame it Teresa. She wrote to Baxter and I read it out, so apologies.
That's okay, it happens all the time.
Was here today.
Teresa did highlighted it to me, so apologies. I didn't ken your name. I was just concentrating on my bit of paper. So sorry. Just made a really good impression on what I'm gonna do for the Crash Committee. So apologies. Councillor Powell, I'm just you're right to default for me.
I was just still trying to be clear on what evidence you gave to the planners for them to say that it's not redundant. So apart from what you just told us now, did you put that into evidence when you submitted?
So there was a previous application, as Sally stated, that was by another agent who failed to take it any further. So when we submit the detailed design statement, planning statement and the sequential assessment, looking at the various other sites. So we did provide evidence in, why it was taken forward, why the how the application came about. At that point, we would ask for 3 lots of further more information in the sequential assessment, hence why it extended to 18 pages. But there was no other requests for information on the redundancy issue of the building. So it kind of indicates that the planner that was looking at the application was satisfied with what information we had provided at that point, and it was only the sequential assessment that we were asked to expand on 3 more times in the application, which we did, and provided further information at that point. So we took from that when we asked the planner, is there any other concerns? Is it just this? When they're based on their responses, that we were accepting that they were satisfied with the redundancy issue. There was no other further issues raised with that at that point.
Further? Yep. I see no further indication. Mr. Mowat, Mr. Acker, thank you for your representation.
Thank you.
Before we go on to consider this application further, can I confirm that members are satisfied that they have received all the necessary information and feel able to participate in the determination of this application? If not, please indicate via the hands up function. Okay, we will now move on to debate the application before we consider any motions. Are there any comments, views that members wish to make for us to consider, please? Councillor Cruson.
Yes.
Yeah, please, it's just noisy with the windows.
Unless I'm missing something here, there was no objections from neighbours for that where the business has been running, no council fee objections, no objections for roads or from environmental health. There's been no adverse impact in the neighbourhood. No external alterations proposed at this time. I think it sort of seems to be coming down to the change of use of the building and whether there's been proof that the building's redundant. I'm not sure if it's the case, if the building's been sold, if that's enough proof that they aren't either anymore, or whether there's opportunity for other farmers to purchase the building instead. I'm presuming that farmers would probably know within themselves if a building was available to purchase, and there's nobody came forward for that. So I just think it seems like it is just a case of introducing whether the building is good for other purposes, in which case I'm not getting a feeling it is, but that's just my initial thoughts.
Thank you, Councillor Cruz, and Councillor Chapman, please.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in my mind, doing the site intimately over a long number of years, that this building is redundant as far as agriculture is concerned. I know that the other buildings on site are in a ruinous state and no farming activity takes place within them. So that confirms to me that this is a brownfield and supports the conversion under the policies. Redundant farm buildings can be used for other uses. So that, I think that one is quite clear in my mind. As far as the 20-minute is concerned, it is well supported by an excellent bus service just a few hundred meters away. So I think that takes care of the 20-minute thing as well. The only other thing that would remain, and then therefore is whether it should be this business should be allowed to take place in the countryside. And I find that I've had a huge problem with this policy here. Why is it an issue to have a business in the countryside, employing people in the countryside? You know, why should a rural area be an economic desert? I really have struggled with that. But on top of that, of course, the issue there is the owners of the business have looked extensively in the area for a suitable building to carry on this work within the towns and villages nearby, and have come up with a blank as far as we're being told. So as far as they're concerned, the only suitable building for this is the building that they are in at the moment. So these are my thoughts on the thing. I will propose a motion later, Chair, when you're ready to do that.
Thank you, councillor Chapman. Councillor Powell, please.
Yeah, just to compare really, I think the other thing we need to pick up is that the sequential use assessment statement did identify that, and our papers have identified, plans have identified that there are no other allocated sites because they're too costly and they're intended for larger scale and they require additional infrastructure, which I think are material considerations that we need to put forward if we're making any motion.
Thank you, councillor Powell. Do we have any more comments or views that wish us to consider? Okay. Powell, legacy hand. Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion? Councillor Chapman, please.
Yes, Chair, I would like to propose a motion that we accept this. The business carries on where it is as a departure, and the reasons to allow this departure is, one, we have proved beyond any reasonable doubt that this building is redundant for agricultural use, and therefore it can be repurposed for another use, which has been done. Two, there are very good bus services running 300 yards away from this site, so it is well connected. And thirdly, the applicants have extensively looked for a suitable site in the surrounding towns and villages, and haven't found one, and are therefore very satisfied that this is a suitable site for their business to carry on. And I also would like to say I support economic activity in the countryside carrying on. I think it's only to be recommended where there aren't any other suitable sites to do this work. There are 3 jobs involved. They've obviously invested quite significantly on the site and putting in a biomass burner to heat the site. So for all these various reasons, I think we should accept this as a departure. I would so move.
Murag, I'll ask if you are content that 3 points have been covered.
Thank you. Yeah, I think pretty sure you covered everything. I think the redundancy point is maybe the only part that I've got a little bit of difficulty with. I think if you're saying that it's a departure, then you can stick with saying it's a departure. And I think what I'm hearing from you is that whilst you're accepting the officer's position about it being a departure, you're minded to accept that it is redundant. So you're not actually stating it is redundant. Because if it's redundant, then you're not departing. Does that make sense? I'm being slightly pedantic, Councillor, but just to make sure we're absolutely clear, I'm also quite happy to let Sally jump in because she will explain the planning technicalities way better than I will.
Sally, do you wish to come in?
I didn't really have anything to add to what legal advice, but I guess more from a consistency point of view for us is always one of the challenges, and I realise that each application has to be determined on its own merits. It's sort of just the evidence in terms of sort of that redundant, because it was in use and then it suddenly became this class 5 use. So it's just like that hasn't been quite fully outlined for us. And in terms of sort of the house at the rear, that was actually supported because the couple were retiring from a business in that area. I think it was actually Victoria Coaches at the time, because I remember it being debated in this chamber. and we can't rely heavily on the potential future possible demolition of agricultural buildings. I think just from our perspective, from planning perspective, that the sort of redundancy element hadn't been. But having said that, I fully also support that members are able to come up with different decisions. I think more the advice from legal was very pragmatic in that regard. But if councillors members are minded that the applicant has demonstrated it's redundant in their mind and has demonstrated that the class 5 use has been explored elsewhere, because bearing in mind MPF always got all the policies in the round. And if you feel that the class 5 use is acceptable in that location and that we have explored the alternatives, again, from our perspective, fix few gaps, but members are able to suggest otherwise. And that if you're minded to think that they've ticked all those boxes, that actually it's not a departure. But I'm seeing nods. But I would perhaps also recognise the advice that legal said, just from more the right word, consistency perspective, but I fully respect members' decisions as well. And I hope that helps in some regard.
Thank you. So councillor Chapman, a slight rewording.
Well, I think we've heard that we can demonstrate, and I think we have on the further question we've had today. I understand that the Sally as a planner didn't have enough information to come to the conclusion that it was a redundant farm business, but I think under question today we have proved that. And my local knowledge, I know this site well, as I've already said, and in my mind it's well proven. So as far as the redundant building is concerned, I would say it's not a departure, because I would argue that it's well proven it is redundant. It's probably as a departure as far as the 20 minutes is concerned. And well, no, it's not, because I think I've changed my mind as I'm speaking here. It's not a departure here either, because it's well connected to a bus service, an excellent bus service. The bus service between the Broch and Mintler is an hourly service, as far as I'm aware. So you can't get a better bus service than that. So the 20-minute thing disappears. I suppose the only thing is to argue that it should be in a town and a village rather than the countryside. And if the applicants have explored that fully and there aren't any suitable sites, then this is the only place it will be. So is that, are you content with that, Ramble?
That's okay. Yeah, no, we can pick through that. So I think what you're saying is that actually it's not a departure, that in your view, your motion would be that this does comply with policy, because you have found the building to be redundant and you've dealt with the 20-minute policy as well. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's okay. We can.
Fine.
Can I just check Sally, because
that is my motion.
Yep. No, that's fine.
Okay, Sally, you've indicated.
Yeah, I suppose in listening to Councillor Chapman, but I didn't want to come in at this point. It was just coming just before that. It was more. You've got 3 full-time equivalents that presumably will have to travel to the site. But the other challenge that you've got is 20 minutes isn't just about 10 minutes. It's also about that sort of sustainable settlements. So if developments out in the countryside, it's sort of is potential departure. But I think my hand almost became my legs and you caught me just then. But I'll leave it there really on.
But Mona, just to be clear, are you content with councillor Chapman? Motion. Exactly.
Now that we're clear that what you're saying is that you think this does comply with policy.
Right, thank you.
That's where we're going.
Okay, so legal's content with the motion. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Crossan, you've been indicated.
Yeah, I would also like the second motion. I just want to also double check if there be any conditions that would be subject to, given this sort of fact it's been used as a building to start with, and now we're speaking about change of use. But also echo my concerns about the policy and how things get moved around, making it hard for rural businesses to be supported in that. But that is not part of the plan. But I'll have the second motion.
Mona, can you come in, please?
Yes, it was just to clarify that would be a delegated grant to the head of planning, because it will need to be subject to conditions that will require to be delegated. So it would be a delegated grant.
Yeah.
And just if there is anything in particular that you were minded to condition, then now is the time to mention that as well. If you have any particular conditions that you think should be attached.
Well, I don't believe so, because the business has been operating successfully from this site for a number of years. And there've been no complaints from any neighbours or anybody around the way, so I don't see that there needs to be any particular conditions. They are obviously good neighbours as they operate now, so I'll leave it there.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any amendments? Councillor James.
Sorry, this is not an amendment, but it's a clarification of what Councillor Chapman says before. I appreciate that they're good neighbours currently, but we are looking at a class use that is for the land itself, not just the individuals that are using the land. I know from the report there's suggestions of appropriate conditions around opening hours and the like, and I think they're sensible conditions to include. Now whether or not they'll be part of the day-to-day plan, I think it's just worth clarifying. But as irrespective of who owns this land, is a land use change. So just a bit of clarification on that point, please.
Yes. I thought that was a clarification for Councillor Chapman. Yes, no, it would be subject to those conditions and any other conditions that were deemed necessary at the head of plan.
Ali?
Yeah, so it was just an opportunity for members to think about any conditions they specifically would want to see, but in general, we would be putting the conditions recommended by the consultees and those required by sort of policies. So for example, by diversity enhancement, that sort of thing, which wouldn't be overly onerous. So there's nothing that we'd be thinking overly constrain the development itself, but Councillor James certainly made the right point that it is the youth that we're considering, so we'd have to make sure it's they're quite long term, notwithstanding the good relationships that they may have or have with their neighbours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Teresa, can I ask you to sum up for them, please?
So we have a motion that has been put forward and seconded with no amendment to for a delegated grant of full planning permission, and that's subject to relevant conditions. The reasons being that it has been proven that it's a redundant farm building and has been repurposed, and that has been demonstrated that it is well connected, the site's well connected by a good bus service. The applicant has shown that they have looked for suitable alternative sites in nearby towns and villages and not found any, and that this is a suitable site. And the fourth condition that was advised was that Councillor Chapman supports economic activity in the countryside, and the applicant has invested in this area and provides 3 jobs. I think that kind of sums up the bulk of it.
Thank you very much. Just to confirm, the recommendation of delegated grant for full planning permission for the reasons given by Teresa. So, members, can I advise you that Sally is moving on to another senior position within the planning service, and therefore we are unlikely to see Sally at future Buchan Area Committee meetings. Sally, can I take this opportunity to thank you for your support and guidance to the Buchan Area Committee and wish you well in your new position. Thank you.
Sure, I'll need the tissues. Thank you very much, Chair.
Welcome. Mr. Ucker, Mr. Mowat, thank you very much for joining us. You are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you would like. Members, I think we'll take a short break. We'll come back at 11, please. Thank you.